Yeah.
Where the council are coming from, I just haven't got a clue, because there must be like an ostrich and not a head in the sand.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Next question, lady with the white hair.
It's done. They have to sit there and sit there for ages. So what people do is go down Plane-Tree Close, which is narrower than a road, because it was never meant to be opened. When Wimpy built our estate, that was meant to be a close, and Fir Tree Rise was meant to be the road coming up onto our estate.
Yep. And the comment there was on Linnet Drive and the fact that that road was never designed for through traffic. It's a residential road, and that because of traffic, people are using it as a rat run.
Well, Mr. Springer will remember this because of the red yellow line. Well, some of his fathers was there, and if they do this, they have to go down. It drive a long block, up, long block, to get onto Wood Street, and already now.
Yeah, I think I remember the issues we got on Linnet and Plane-Tree, and we never got the zebra crossing that we would have really liked because of other issues. For me, the traffic flow is one of the most key issues in terms of the traffic is just going to go elsewhere, and it's not going to divert onto the A12 because people are already using that. So we got issues. The lady spoke about the 45 bus getting out. We've got parking issues on the zigzag lines by the school. Right, so in the school commute on Gloucester Avenue, there's about 2,500 cars during that time. 2,500 cars on Gloucester Avenue. 35%, about 350 of those cars are speeding during the school commute. And anything that the BUSGATE does is just going to divert more traffic, as you've heard them say. So more cars, more risk. You talk about scaremongering, I'd call it, it's just highlighting the risk really. You can call it scaremongering, but it is a risk, and it's an additional risk. More traffic on any of the routes is just more risk.
Can we go to the lady next but one?
You mentioned in your slides Meadgate.
Yes.
Pitch point as well. That as part of the consultation, they did it was going to be designated a cycle route.
And that is a completely a whole other kettle of fish. I mean, the cycle infrastructure, you do not get a cycle lane. Even if they do put a cycle lane in, it's a piece of paint on the floor. You ask CTC, who are the National Cycling Charity, they do not believe in cycle lanes at all. They believe in segregated. They do not believe in shared space for cycles and cars. Any other questions?
Yeah, there's a gentleman right at the very back. Lorraine's with him. He's had his hand up.
We know of that, and there's been quite a lot of general feedback to us about the fact that that worked better when those lights were in place. But to be perfectly honest with you, Andy and I don't personally have a lot of knowledge, but I think what would be interesting is what we tell you a little bit later, which is about traffic lights, but we're talking about 2018 traffic light systems, and I think that would probably answer your question when that comes up, just as alternatives. But we have had that feedback from a lot of people about the traffic lights there. They said there was no stacking room. No stacking room on the roundabout for traffic lights, but that was their answer as to what the issue was when we raised that in the meeting.
You've got a gentleman over here who's been waiting.
Hello, okay? Yep. Right, I live in Longmead Avenue, so I'm looking at the interests of Longmead Avenue and Meadgate. With the bus lane going in, I'm looking at this picture up here, pedestrian fatality. We could be looking at vehicle fatalities as well, because basically Meadgate and Longmead Avenue, the traffic flow will be almost reversed, because you'll be having so much traffic flow flowing from north to south, because anybody that lives in Meadgate and Longmead Avenue and all the side turnings off there will come up Meadgate and Longmead to Malden Road to turn left to go into the bypass. Now the junction at the top of Longmead is a semi-blind junction. It's quite dangerous. There's been several accidents, several near misses.
Just past the doctor's surgery where you go.
That's right, just past the doctor's surgery. To get onto that junction and turn left or right, you've got an awful lot of traffic coming straight up Longmead Avenue now. Meanwhile, you've got all the new traffic coming through the village onto the to get onto the bypass. It's an accident waiting to happen. So what they will do by introducing the BUSGATE is it will change the traffic flow from basically 50-50 north-south, south-north to probably 80% travelling up Longmead Avenue. Meanwhile, you've got the new 57 bus, which is a longer bus, trying to get down Longmead Avenue, where there's cars parked both sides, faced with all this traffic coming up Longmead Avenue. So you've got an awful lot of problems in that area.
One point to raise on that, the good news is that Kevin Bentley has actually gone up and looked at Malden Road. He states in his interview with Essex Live, which was roughly a week ago, that he's been up to Malden Road, he's looked at it, and he thinks that it works very well. He thinks that the narrow pinch point, traffic naturally gives way to each other, so there's no issues there. It's also worth noting he went up about 11 o'clock, half 11 on a weekday when it was almost dead, during the school holidays. So, exactly.
Right.
Yep, next question.
No, there's a gentleman over there who's been waiting for a while. Gentleman green,
Green, yep.
and then the one in grey.
I just want to know, when you did your survey of the people going down Baddow Road, what proportion of the people you interviewed said they were going to switch to buses? What proportion said they were going to switch to cycling? And what proportion does the county council say are going to switch? Because I'm quite sure the figures...
The council don't know. The council have not given those
the
figures.
figures when they said for diverting didn't add up to 100%.
No, and that is an interesting point
Something
because...
like 50% of people were going to divert and everybody else was going to go.
Yes, it was actually, I believe it was...
Did anybody say to you that they're going to switch off cars?
I believe it was in their traffic redistribution, I think it's either 38 or 42% of the traffic is not accounted for, because it is going to distribute across the network, which basically we pushed him on that, and the answer was it basically disappears in a puff of smoke.
And did anybody say to you when you did the survey they were going to redistribute?
The survey we done, we will actually put the results up. I think we put some of them up. We got roughly 35% going down Lofting Way, 35% going down Malden. There was also questions, some would change their journey times. I don't have the exact percentages to hand, but 70% will go down Malden Road and Lofting Avenue, so 30% will either change their journey times, use buses, use cycles.
Thank you.
This gentleman in grey.
Sorry? Sorry? No, I believe he actually gets driven to work. There we go. Man in the grey shirt.
I appreciate the time you took this helping us. Probably read the Essex Highways joke growth package. It looks more like a school project. And I cross Oxford on a regular basis at South End, North South, and what I've not seen is any of their traffic counting team and seeing where they go, because I cross from Great Baddow going north, like to the A131 and that way, and I see a lot of cars cutting across Chelmsford, whether it's either on the bypass or Baddow Road, filling it up. And if I was coming from South End, coming up at the car park on the A130, and then having to go onto the A12. No, it's much easier to perhaps say, if you're going on the 414 out towards Highland, to cut across or to avoid the A12. And there's I think there's a disparity of what they're saying of how much local and actual cover traffic is cutting across Chelmsford, where you get, there's no one taking an interest in Chelmsford, they're just driving through it, and that's clogging up the roads. So whether or not they go around and actually make the point of freeing up the A12 so people can go around it, which is better.
One of the issues we'll come on to later is that although we're here protesting against Baddow bus stand, it's an issue for the whole city. It's not really about bus stand, it's across the whole city. Yeah, as you all know, the Army and Navy's got an issue, the whole city is gridlocked. Back all the way up the parkway, buses don't go anywhere, and there's major issues. But just the one thing I was going to took the mic from Andy was, a lot of this information stems from a document from 2008. The 2017 document that Ringway Jacobs are using for a lot of this data and where they've backed it all up is almost a cut and paste of the 2008 document. So it's old ideas and old technology counts that have been used. They have updated some of it, and they have done some counts since we had the first public meeting, so they say, since the first public meeting. But the point Andy and I keep making, and I know we're just a residents association, and we've stood out there and physically counted the vehicles in the rain, and we've asked questions about where people are going. But they're just putting figures into a computer to get what they want out the other end. We all know that. We can put 2% in and it will get 6% out the other. That works, so we'll go with that. But if we put 10% in and it gives us 20, well, let's just change the figure back to 2%. So they can make their figures whatever they want. We have just done it the old-fashioned way. We've been out there, guys have been out early in the morning in the rain, counting the cars going past, and we've asked you all the questions to try and find out where everybody's going.
That's the local count, not an official.
Yeah, that's just us trying to do our bit. His consultations have probably cost millions, and Andy and I will send you all the bill when we finish. Next question.
Next question over with Lorraine. Lorraine.
Thank you. Sorry, basically I was just agreeing with the guy that was saying about the fatalities with the school. Personally, my two children, from experience, they go to Hamptons Hall, and I certainly wouldn't be wanting to walk home if there was, what you're saying is a percentage of cars. One of my children has got autism, so I wouldn't want him walking home, on his own. And not only that, there's a junior school, there's a cut through to a junior school, so there's lots of young children that are walking across the road. I think there is still a lollipop lady there. But they're very unpredictable. They're going to run across the road sometimes, and with that amount of cars going down there, I think you are going to find that it's just going to be accident waiting to happen.
Again, it highlights another point. I know there's been a petition for a zebra crossing to go onto Church Street, for example, up near the vineyards for people to cross. And like you say, if traffic is that bad, you don't want your kid walking to school, so what are you going to do? You're going to get in the car and take them to school, which is, it's a catch-22.
Well, it
and
is.
This is what they're forcing people to do, and they don't realise this. They're actually creating the problems themselves.
Crossing.
Sorry?
After the last meeting, I went on BBC Essex the next morning, myself and then Lorraine, and Councillor Bentley came on in the middle of the two of us, and I put the question to him about public safety. I run a day nursery in the village, an after school club and a preschool, and we walk children through the village to a local school. And my issue is predominantly safety, the safety of our children and the elderly in Baddow Road. Motion, we done school runs to Motion, to Malvern in the past. And I can tell you now that people who are in a hurry because of traffic delay, they're not safe drivers. So I put that question about public safety, particularly the children, And he didn't answer it, and he won't answer it, and he won't take accountability, and that's the end of it. He will avoid the question at all costs, and I won't let it go. I will fight and fight and fight this.
One comment I will make on that is Councillor Bentley does actually have some concerns about health and safety, because one of the points we will raise later is that one of the suggestions of Army Navy is to move the Van Diemen's crossing, for example, just a few yards further up the road, so traffic doesn't queue back. But they will not do that, because then they are scared it's a health and safety reason that people will climb over the railings. So he does have some concern for health and safety. He's concerned for people's idiocy, it causes them to climb over a railing and cross a busy road, but he's not concerned for innocent pedestrians that are getting hit by vehicles because of all the extra traffic rerouted through residential areas. Next question.
If BUSGATE comes in, what's going to happen to people that need to go to Southern Lodge Doctor surgery?
That is a question that we've been keen to.
It just full stop doesn't have an answer.
They don't have an answer for it. I believe that there's actually acts on access for people with mobility issues, and I do believe there's probably legislation that's saying shutting off vehicle access to a doctor's surgery probably isn't the done thing, and that is something we're looking into, but there is no answer to that at the moment.
If somebody's coming out of the doctor's surgery, that means if they want to go through to the Army Navy, they're going to have to walk around Baddow Road and right back again.
Technically, yes. Technically, yes.
Next question.
Lady there.
As part of the Healthy Schools programme, every school is supposed to promote some healthy lifestyles in the fight against obesity and so on, and that includes walking to school, encouraging more children to walk to school, to cycle to school and so on. So it seems to be in direct conflict with the education side of things, where you're putting those children more at risk by having more cars on the road. At the same time, you want them to walk to school and to cycle to school. Yep. So it's
yeah, and this is another example of the council's lack of joined-up thinking. Infrastructure, Essex County Council, the department responsible for all of this, are completely separate from the department responsible for all the houses. So you've got 20-odd thousand new houses forecast in the next 15 years, which they can agree to without talking to the infrastructure department who are responsible for keeping the roads moving. And there's another example. You've got one government department advising certain things, which this idea is in complete opposition to.
Yep. Hang on. Stone over there.
Oh, yeah.
Andy, I thought you got to get away a little bit lightly when you spoke about them disappearing, the figures.
Yes, I have actually found the figures for that.
Because that is really showing what we're up against.
So this is on the traffic redistribution, which the gentleman over there mentioned earlier. ECC predict 12% down Prince's Road and Van Diemen's, 26% up Malden Road to the bypass. The other 62%, they don't have any predictions of where they go. And that is the percentage that is just going to disappear. And that is in the Chelmsford City Growth Package that was given out last summer. They've actually put it in there. Another point to make, in that Chelmsford City Growth Package, if you drill down, certainly in the subsequent BUSGATE facts document that came out afterwards, they actually say that by closing Baddow Road, it won't affect the Army and the bypass at all. It won't improve queuing time. It won't do anything. The only net effect of closing Baddow Road is a slightly shorter queuing time on Van Diemen's. That is what they're aiming to achieve by closing Baddow Road. You look at all the facts, that is the only benefit to traffic flow.
There's a lady with her eye.
Yep.
Have they actually looked at the accident standards? Because I know for a fact my neighbour would be here today. In the last year, has had 2 accidents coming off her drive. One because of dust lorries that go down the road on Tuesday morning while the schools are all going in. The 6th form is now parked down Gloucester Avenue because they're not allowed to park in the school, which could be more havoc. I've had a lot of near misses, and I know for a fact that my daughter's friend has a really near miss crossing right. Trying to cross with a clean car because we've not got a patrol lady no more. The only zebra crossing is opposite the shop, which is nowhere near the junior school. Everyone now has to go to Princess Avenue, to drop their kids off, the juniors or the infants anymore. Really, they all come down Ross Avenue and tuck through John Shannon.
Simple answer to that is probably not, because from my understanding, the only figures they would have regarding accidents are the ones that are reported to police. So unless every single person is reporting it to the police and getting a crime number, then it will appear in some statistics somewhere. Whether they're looking at them and whether they're an accurate reflection, because I certainly know that I've had 2 accidents in the last year that didn't get reported to police. Yeah.
They've been hit quite a few times down that road.
I live on Gloucester Avenue, just by the pub. What I'd like to know is, the Bentley, where was he when Wood Street was shut off for 4 days and caused complete havoc through Molsham Lodge and other surrounding areas?
I would guess he was getting driven to work by his chauffeur in Colchester. And yeah.
Gentleman at the back again.
Yep, over the back.
So the buses whiz down the bus gate. What happens when they get down to the bottom of the bus gate? They will not have any better access across the road because of the blockages caused by the traffic light Van Diemen's Road.
So you're going to have additional traffic. I mean, the main reason with a roundabout is that all traffic on all flows has to be roughly equal for it to work. We know that putting this in is just going to increase the traffic down Baddow bypass, making it even harder for the buses to get out. But at least under this proposal, they will get there to be able to queue for longer. So they'll get there quicker, but they'll sit there probably longer.
Why can't they keep clear?
I think when we come on to what some of our ideas are, maybe you could input on that.
Yeah, he mentioned is with the traffic lights, he said there's no queuing zones on the roundabout. So I know what you're talking about, a yellow crosshatch. The roundabout's probably too small. Now, what he didn't consider is traffic lights on all the approaches. So rather than trying to get the traffic on the roundabout, then control it, you stop it from going onto the roundabout with traffic lights on each junction, which we are going to cover later, which is under the Cambridge traffic light system. I think we've probably got time for one final question.
So I travel every morning down on the White Horse, turn onto the Blue Line, into Malton Road, and onto the roundabout to get onto the bypass. Now, if you put in that much extra traffic down that road, you're going to cause that traffic to start backing up to the pinch point, and the 36 bus that goes along there in each direction isn't going to be able to get through.
No, and that is a key fact. I mean, 160 extra vehicles an hour coming down Baddow Road onto Tabor's Hill. I mean, that mini roundabout there will simply cease to function. That is my view. You know, even when it does get across there, all the traffic is then going to go up to the bypass where it has to give way to all of the traffic coming from Malden and Danbury with the 500 new houses that are proposed for Sandon. So, yeah, I mean, it's, as far as we're concerned, it's going to cause that road to fail.
I think it's a good point to move on.
Yep. What we're going to do now is we're going to move on to some bigger picture issues. So we've looked at this in terms of Baddow, how it affects us as residents. What we're going to look at now is the alternatives, where funding should come from, and really how we get around. We all know the problems. We know, as Councillor Bentley says, there is a problem, we should be doing something. Now, Councillor Bentley maintains he has to do something. My argument would be, yes, but not if it's stupid and worse than what's currently there. But he obviously just thinks he'd rather be seen as doing something, whether it's good or bad, than looking at other issues. So what we're going to move on now is the wider picture, a chance to traffic network, and possible solutions that we'll come up with. And then there will be open questions at the end on all the subjects.
Excellent. I think they slightly jumped the gun a little bit.